First of all, thank you so much to the Power community to allow us be presenting here. It's our first session in English, so at least me, I'm quite nervous because of my level English, but well, let's do what we could and let's start. In this session, we are going to continue with the content that Peter has presented right now. So we are going to talk about DevOps, about build pipelines, and so on, but changing some things of the game. My name is Juan Antonio Tomás. Is for those that don't know me. I've been working the last 10 years as Ajax developer or Dynamics 365 developer, and now I'm working at Azure as technical lead. Last year in October, I've been awarded as MVP in business application. It was a really honor for me to be part of the MVP family. And you can follow me on Twitter. You can connect to me on LinkedIn. You can mail me on the mail you see here, and you can read my technical articles in my blog jatomas.com. And that's all.
Okay. I'm Adrià Ariste. I also work at Azure with Juan. He's my boss. I've been working with Ajax, Dynamics 365, whatever we want to call it now, for almost 11 years. And as Juanan, I was awarded the MVP for business applications last October, which is great. And you can read my articles on Ariste.info, and you can follow me on Twitter at Adrià_Ariste. And there's also my LinkedIn account and my email if you want to contact me. And also, we are also doing a podcast.
Yeah, but it's in Spanish. If someone of you can understand Spanish, we invite you to listen to us talking about technical stuff of Dynamics 365 FO. If not, maybe you can start learning Spanish with us.
Or using some cognitive services to translate it in real life time.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. As you may know, Microsoft is going to start tomorrow deallocating the Tier 1 environments that we have in our subscription, in Microsoft Managed subscription. This is going to be deallocated on tomorrow, on February 1st, and they are going to be deleted on February 15. Those VMs have been used historically as build environments. So you use them to compile your base code, to do some tests, to synchronize your database, to create your deployable package, and promote your code to an UAT or sandbox environment. So what can we do now that they are going to delete them? Well, first of all, we can use the Azure-Hosted pipeline, as Peter has told before in the session before. You don't need any VM in order to compile our code, but it has some cons. You cannot run tests, and you cannot synchronize the database. So it works really, really well. We are using them in all of our projects with our customers, but this is the con. If you need to run some tests, to do some testing and to synchronize your database inside of the build, you cannot do it with these pipelines. Another alternative is to create a build VM in your cloud-hosted environment. As you have normally development environments in your customers' Azure subscription, you can create also a build VM. But what happened with this? That the cost is higher than the Azure hosted ones. But you can in this kind of build in this kind of pipelines, you can run tests and synchronize database as well as you did in the Microsoft managed one. So what are going to show you today? A third alternative. We are going to work with Azure DevTests Labs. This session is thanks of the session that Joris did past DynamicsCon, talking about Azure DevTests Lab and how to deploy virtual machines on them within an Azure pipeline. So we are continuing this session and thinking how we can use it to build our code. It is because from the moment we are working with Dynamics 365, we are not just X++ developer anymore. We are now part of a big platform called Dynamics 365, and all this platform is on Azure. So we have now a lot of tools that we can use even if they are not officially supported by Microsoft. Maybe you cannot use it when you are working in a real project because your customer don't want you to use those tools that are not supported, but you can use it and you can try, you can test, you can learn a lot using these tools, and you can have a lot of fun. So what is Azure DevTests Labs? It's a tool that allows you to provision a Linux or Windows environment in a quick way using ARM templates that are reusable and artifacts. And you can quite easily integrate your deployment pipeline with the DevTests Labs to provision on-demand environment. So you can, at summarizing, you can run a pipeline, and this pipeline is going to create a virtual machine in your Azure subscription. And why are we going to use this DevTests Lab to run our builds? Well, first, because as we have said and as Peter has shown, with the Azure-Hosted pipelines, we cannot run test and synchronize our DB because it's cheaper than have a cloud-hosted environment to run these builds, and of course, because we can do it. So as we can do it, we do it. What are we going to need to run these pipelines and to create these environments on DevTests Labs? First, you need an Azure account, of course. If you don't have, you can start I don't know the name in English.
The free.
Yeah, the free subscription.
There's a free test subscription.
You have 30 days with $2,000 or something like that to run it. You need to have access to LCS, of course. You need to have access to Azure DevOps. And yeah, some time and patience, because this session has been really a huge research and try and error from part of Adrià. You know, Adrià is the writer of the ALM Bible, and he has done a lot of researching in order to create this session, because it has not been easy. There's no documentation about that because it's something new for us, at least. So it has been fun. It has been fun. It has been hard, and it has been a great work from Adrià.
Okay, well, so
yeah, continue, please.
The first step we need to do to start and all this process is downloading the latest BHD from the shared asset library. And as you know, this is like 13 zip files, which are pretty large in size. So you need to download them from LCS. And as you know, LCS is not very fast.
It's just
So,
fast.
yeah. Downloading things from LCS, at least from Europe, it's very slow. So what can we do to download the files faster? So we can use a wonderful tool, which is the D365FO tools from Mods Jensen. I recommend these tools. It's a set of PowerShell scripts that help us in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But to download, there's a commandlet that lets you copy. You just get the shared access, the SAS link from the shared asset library on LCS, and you copy it using Azure copy to a blob storage account you have. Once you have all the zip files copied from LCS to your blob account, just download them from the storage account, and it's pretty faster. I'd say that it takes like 5% of the time it takes downloading them from LCS. Not this one. Okay, and now we are going to show some Azure and other things. The next thing we need to do, I don't know where I am, is create a DevTest Labs account. You need to do this on Azure. Just look for DevTest Labs and create a new account. Here is ours. And as you can see, there's several things here, like virtual machines, data disks, and if we go to configuration and policies, you see here custom images. So we've downloaded the BHD, unzipped it, and now we have got like a 130 gigabytes file on our PC. And first of all, we need to convert the BHD file to a fixed size image. If we don't do that, when we deploy a new virtual machine using that image, it will fail because at least I haven't been able to do it, but it's not possible to create a virtual machine from a dynamic sized BHD file. Maybe there is a way, but I haven't found it. So just convert it using a PowerShell command. We will later publish a blog post with all the steps, and the command will be there. Okay, so once we have created our DevTest Labs, we need to upload the BHD file to our custom images. When you deploy a DevTest Labs, there's some things that are created. It's not just a DevTest Labs. There is a storage account created, there is a key vault created, and I think there are several resource groups created. So it's not just one thing. So we need to go to, again, to the custom images, click Add, and we can do two things. You see here this link, upload a BHD using PowerShell. If we click it, it will generate a PowerShell script that we need to copy. I don't know why it's not being shown. Okay, it's here. It's just an Azure RM commandlet, and you need to just copy it and change the BHD location in this part, and this will upload your BHD to the storage account that is created with the DevTest Labs. You can also upload the BHD file using the Azure Storage Explorer. When you connect to your account, you will see there is a new storage account for the DevTest Labs. Just open it, and there's a blob called Uploads, and you just need to upload it there. You can do whatever you want. It's your preference. The next step is creating a virtual machine from that image. Then on the overview, just click Add, and it will show all the bases. As you can see, there are a lot of SQL and Beanstalk, but the first ones are the custom images. And this is the one I have uploaded. This is the VHD file as it has been downloaded from LCS. There's no modifications done to it. I would just click it and create it. Just change the disk size to something you can use as a dev VM. We won't be still using this as a virtual machine for building the code. I also recommend using a premium SSD disks. This size doesn't allow, so just change it, for example, to a B4MS, burstable series VMs, and a premium SSD disk. Click on create, and this will create a virtual machine. I have already done that before, so we don't have to wait like 10 minutes. And this is the VHD virtual machine. This virtual machine, as it is downloaded from LCS, is only useful to use as a developer VM. If you want to use it as a build VM, you need to do some things before. Let me show you. First of all, we will modify the prepare for build script, which is found on the Dynamics SDK folder. This folder is the one, I think it's also present on developer machines on cloud. And it's the folder that contains the tools that are used by the pipelines. It's a lot of PowerShell scripts, but we just need to modify the prepare for build one. Oops, I need to open the copy, or let me check it. It was on line 696. I hope it's not modified here. Oh, yeah. Let me show you the original one. 696. Yeah. I think it's, no. I may have not copied the original file. Okay, just let me explain it. As you know, when you run a build the first time, the build machine creates a copy of the package's local directory folder, because this copy is restored each time a build is run, to have always the same standard code. What happens with the DevTest Labs build we want to do? Each time we will run a build, the virtual machine will be new. So we don't need a backup of the package's local directory folder, because otherwise we will be losing like an hour until the process of backup is done. So we just need to comment that part of the code. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay. You see, it's creating a backup of the package's local directory folder. We just need to remove it and remove all this part and also this, and change it to something like this. If there is a backup to restore, because you are using a custom database, not the Contoso one that comes with the build VM, you want to restore that DB. And this will save us 1 hour per run, which it's okay, it's 1 hour. And that's all for this step. The next step is running the setup build agent PowerShell script. We can do this to create the service that connects to Azure DevOps, or we can, I will show it later, add an artifact to the virtual machine from DevTest Labs to create the agent each time the pipeline is run. I prefer installing the service here because then I don't have to wait until it's created each time the pipeline is run. And I've had some issues configuring it using an artifact. So for me, this is the easiest way of doing it. And then what can we also do to prepare this virtual machine to work as a build PM? There are some services we can start and stop. For example, the management reporter, we can stop it. We don't need it to build. We can stop the batch, not just stop, disable them. Okay, just disable these services. The import-export framework too. And if we go to SQL, there are something like analysis services, integration services, reporting services.
Depends.
If you don't want to build reports, don't disable it. But if you don't build reports on your pipeline, just disable it. You can disable anything you don't want to consume RAM or resources, because then you can run the virtual machine on a smaller size virtual machines.
Adri, just run the pipeline to see the result at the end of the, because this process takes long, more or less half an hour. So if we don't run now, we are not going to be able to see how it works.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Okay, so pipeline is running. Let me go back to the virtual machine. Another thing we need to do is create a new SQL admin. What I do is just create a new admin from the AXDB admin. And I need to do this because I've had issues with the DB admin. I don't know if there's something wrong when the pipeline accesses the virtual machine, but it looks like I don't have enough rights or permissions. So what I do is I create a new admin and I give it a new password. Oops. Don't use this password. It's not that strong. And run it. Okay. You can't use it. It's not validated by the Windows policy requirements. So I guess that, for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe that's not strong either. Oh, yeah, it's strong enough. Okay, and what you need to do after this is go to the web config file of the virtual machine, the one inside let me show you on C, on the AOS service web root. It's this one, the one that the AOS runs on, and look for the data access node. Just change the password to your new password, which I don't remember, but it was like strong
super strong
password.
P.
Yeah.
Auto 9.
And change also the data access SQL user to the D365 user you have created. Save it. I will not save it because we are not using this virtual machine. And another thing you need to do if you plan to build reports, you need to run a command on the reporting database, which is an stored procedure. You need to exit the delete encrypted content. Otherwise, the building reports will fail. And I think we are done with that. When we are done preparing the virtual machine, we can close everything and we can stop it. I sign out.
In the meantime, we can see here how the virtual machine is creating right now with the pipeline that Adrià has run.
I hope it doesn't fail. Because sometimes it fails.
Okay, continue, Adri.
Okay, so now we've got, this is the virtual machine I was working on. I click it, and what we can do is create custom images. I would just give it a name like D365 Satu and create and click OK. What this does is create a new base image with the changes I have done to the virtual machine. So each time I create a new virtual machine from this image, it will have the new Xpp admin, it will have the services disabled, it will have the PowerShell scripts with the changes we've made, and the Azure DevOps agent running. Okay. And now we can show you the pipelines. Juan, back to you.
Yeah. So we are now in Azure DevOps, and first thing we can see that the template that Adrià has created, setting up the build VM and so on, is here, is under our repository. So we have.
I forgot to show the ARM part.
Do you want to show?
It's very quick.
Okay.
Okay, when you create a new virtual machine, you select the base image. On advanced settings, once you have selected the new disk size and also added the WinRM artifact with this value here, you go to the Advanced Settings tab and click on the View ARM template. This gives you the ARM template, of course, as the base to create a virtual machine from a pipeline. This is something called infrastructure as code and allows us to reuse very easily. This will create a virtual machine from the size we tell them, with a username and password, and anything that is inside this ARM template is used to create the new virtual machine. So continue, please. Okay. Sorry.
So we have saved the JSON, the template, inside of our repository code, and we have here this JSON that Adrià has done. We have all the data we need, and we have put the password as secure string in order to be secure with all this stuff. And then once we have this prepared, we can just go and create the new build pipeline. Is this one that is running right now. So I'm going to show you the different steps. The first thing is that, of course, this pipeline has to be run inside of the Azure-hosted pipelines pool, because we don't have any virtual machine in which run these things. So this pipeline has three different jobs, three different steps. The first one is to create the virtual machine that is running right now. This is going to create the virtual machine in our DevTest Lab. The second one is the build, the regular build, the build that we have time ago in order to build our code inside of the build VM. And the last one is to delete the VM because we don't need anymore. So some things to remark here is the create VM has to be run also in the Azure-hosted agent pool, because we don't have VM, and it's quite easy to set up. You has just to put here the subscription, the name of the lab, the name of the VM, and the ARM template we are using to create the virtual machine. The second job is the regular. If you have seen the Peter session, you already know how it works, and it has to be run in this private DevTest agent pool. Sorry, is the agent pool that Adri has installed inside of the VM. Okay, so all the code we have in this repo is going to be built inside of this VM, of this agent. Other thing is that we are using selective sync. Is a nice step. I don't remember if you have shown finally the script. Okay, well, this script is going to synchronize just the tables that we have inside of our metadata repo. So just our tables that we have inside of our development. Is not going to synchronize the whole database. So we are going to save some time with these builds. Then it generates the deployable package and as always. And finally, we are going to delete this VM. It has to be run also in the Azure-hosted agent. And here we just have to put some parameters that we need to delete this VM. That is the subscription, the lab, and the VM that we have created before. We have to also set up some dependencies. Okay, for example, with the first step, nothing. It just run always. The second job, the build one, only has to run when the step, we have here the other step, when the step create a VM has run successfully. If you don't have a VM created because we have had an error or so, we are not going to build the code inside of this VM. So we need to be sure that the VM has been created properly. And the last one is a mix of the two steps before. So in the not here but here, we are going to use an expression in order to run always that this step has finished, but just if the job one is this one has succeeded. So if the virtual machine has not been created properly, we are not going to delete this virtual machine. It's obvious. So that's all we need to set up this build pipeline, and maybe we can see how it's working right now. Yeah, it has created the VM, so now it can run the build of the code. Sorry. This is the way how we can build all our code. We can run some tests, we can synchronize the database, we can deploy reports if we want, and we can do whatever we want with this VM, as we did before with the Microsoft managed tier 1 environments. So let's continue with the conclusion. Well, yeah, with the comparisons.
The comparisons, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think, oops. Okay, I need to go back to. I don't like PowerPoint. Okay. Here we are. So, I think that this is one of the interesting parts of what we've done, just seeing how it compares. for example, on running times with a regular build PM. Okay, so first of all, we've run this on a B2MS size PM, which is 2 virtual CPUs and 8 gigabytes RAM. And as you can see, this is the build it's being run now by Juan, and it has very little code, just 4 or 5 classes. There is no data tables or views or anything, so the selective sync ends in like a minute. That's why it just builds in 7 minutes. And 5 minutes to delete the virtual machine. Total of 25 minutes. It's fine. But it's like 17 minutes to deploy and delete the VM. If we go to a B4MS, which is twice the size of the 2VMS, we see we get faster results in the build step. The create VM and delete VM more or less are the same. And if we decide to spend more money and go to a B8MS, we see that the build time is a little lower than on the B4MS VM, but it's not that it's not very much better than the B4MS. So as you can see, as I was saying, the build step is the one that benefits from getting more CPU or RAM. But it's fun because, as you can see, the most powerful VM takes 2 minutes more to finish all the process because it takes 2 minutes more to delete the VM. This is something that I think doesn't depend on the VM size, but on how Azure is working that day. And we've done more comparisons. For example, doing a full sync with the same base code, which is, as I said, little code. And as you can see, on a B2MS virtual machine, the build step takes 3 minutes, but the DB sync, remember it's a complete DB sync, takes almost 20 minutes. If we go up to a B4MS, we can see that there's like half a minute less time to build the solution, but almost 4 minutes less to synchronize the database. And on a B8MS, the build solution time is more or less the same as on a B4MS, and the databasing is almost the same. So as you can see, all the steps take more or less the same time regardless of VM size, except the build the solution and database sync steps. I think it's normal because the rest of the steps are not CPU intensive, I think. And another comparison, yeah.
It has worked.
But has it deleted the VM?
No, the build has finished right now.
Okay,
so
great.
I think it's the first time we have a demo and it works at the first try.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, if we go with a real code base, this is a lot of code, and I don't know if it's a lot, but it's a lot for what we are used to work. It's 2 years, I think, 2 years and a half of work. You can see that B2MS takes 15 minutes to build the code, 20 minutes to synchronize. B4MS takes 13 minutes to build and 15 to synchronize the database. But that's a full sync again, all the database. And the bigger size VM takes 12 minutes to build the solution and 15 to synchronize the database. Once again, we see there is some enhancement between a B2MS and a B4MS, but there's not that much of a better performance between a B4 and B8MS. And finally, this is a real code base, a lot of code with the selective sync. On a B2MS, we can see that the build time is more or less the same as before, but we can see that the selective sync is 9 minutes less as the full sync. This is because, as Juan said, we are only synchronizing the tables, views, etc. of our models, our packages. On a B4MS, the build time is a little less, and and it's the same as on the previous comparisons. I think that using a B4MS is a good option because it's cheaper than a B8MS, and we don't have. I don't see much benefits to use a bigger size like B8 VM compared to a B4 VM. And finally, Juan.
Yeah. The money.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
There is.
No, continue, please. Continue, Adri.
Okay. There is only one fixed cost using Azure DevTest Labs, which is the storage for the VHD. It's logical. So if you upload the VHD, that's 130 gigabytes. This is around €5, $6 per month. But you need to keep in mind that each time you create a new page image from a virtual machine, like I did before, you're increasing the space used. So just maintain your base images. Delete the ones you are not using. Always try to keep the original one because it's the one that has nothing done, and you can start from scratch from there. But this is the only fixed cost. And to compare, tier 1 build in Microsoft subscription was or is around €400, $500. I think it has to be more or less that. So how does a tier 1 build VM compares to what we are showing? Okay, so when we deploy a virtual machine using Azure DevTest Labs, it's deployed using a 256 gigabytes disk. I always choose a premium SSD because then I don't have to think about the transactions and anything. Everything is included on the price. So how much does a virtual machine deployed using Azure DevTest Labs cost per hour? So a B2MS is 14 cents of euro or 17 cents of dollar per hour, including the proportional cost of the disk. We can see that for a B4MS, it's 23 cents of euro, 28 cents of dollar, and a B8MS, it's 41 cents of euro and half a dollar. If we run this 30 times a month, we'll see later why I'm using a 30 as a run count. That's like 4.2 euros a month, which is around $5. Almost €7 for a B4MS, which is $8 to $38. And for a B8MS, it's €12, which is more or less $15. If we go with the cloud-hosted environment as a build VM with 3 premium SSD disks, these are the prices. So, of course, this would be running 24 hours a day. But the difference in price is I think this is a reason if we have to build, run test, and synchronize DBs, this is an alternative, and the cost is not that much. It's a good option, I think. And finally,
because
some conclusions.
Yeah, put them. Because you can think also in create a VM, a cloud-hosted VM, and start and stop every time you need to compile your code. It's totally fine, but you are going to be paying for the disks of the VM you have there. In this case, with the DevTest Labs, the machine is going to be deleted, so no cost.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, this is a POC. This is not a real scenario. This is something we have created just for fun and just for the session and with the objective of
but it works.
yeah, it works perfect. Yeah, but this is something we have created to learn how it works and to do this session. It's not useful for incremental builds. Not incremental, but continuous integration build, sorry. Because it's not fast. When you are using continuous integration builds, you want to check in your code and know in just minutes if your code is okay or not. So this is not a good option. But we can have some mix between the Azure-hosted build to do the it's later.
Yeah,
to do the continuous integration builds, and once a day or once a week, I don't know, use this DevTest Lab to run your test and synchronize your database and so on. And it's a real alternative, as Adrià said.
Yeah, I think maybe for as Juan said, maybe an implementation partner won't benefit a lot from this, but I don't know, for maybe an ISV which has a lot of code that maybe works with standard code, and they need to run tests to be sure that their product is still working. I think this is an alternative to run it nightly or weekly or whatever.
Yeah.
And okay, we are done. So if there are any questions.
Thank you, Adrià. Thank you, Juan, for that.
Thanks, Rats.
Fantastic session. A lot of interest in that session. And by the way, guys, I have to tell you, your English was very, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So well done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So let's take a look at the questions then in the chat. Okay, so there are a few questions, guys. And I think the first question, the question is what happens when you want to upgrade the VHD to a new version? Do you have to download the new version VHD from LCS and upload again to Azure DevTest?
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about the VHDs. As you need to upload, not upload. You need to apply the monthly updates manually to the VHD. That is the bad part. But if you check Joris' session on DynamicsCon, just look for it on YouTube. What he showed is he deployed the VHD and applied the PU to that VHD, and finally created a new VHD image with the PU applied using DevTest Labs. So maybe that's a
it can
solution.
be automated also.
Mm-hmm.
And a question from a Gamelgard who's said, a great presentation. This is very inspiring.
Thank you.
What was the parameter for the artifact WinRM, the hostname field? I believe the base images is already available at Azure. Search for prereq ACK7 and you can skip the VHD convert and upload part. So I think that's what he was asking. What was the parameter for the artifact WinRM, the hostname field?
I think I have closed I don't have the virtual machine open anymore, but when you select the WinRM artifact, it says there's a quote in the instructions and you just need to copy it and paste it. I think it's a local network, or I don't remember it. I should look it, but it's on the WinRM instructions on the artifact.
And we have Litwin, who was asked, hi, in terms of upgrading machine to new version or QA, is it about to power up such as VM and deploy packages, command line at least? What are the tools to have visibility? What is installed as LCS is presenting right now? I don't know if you understand that, guys. Does that question make sense?
I don't really get what is the question. I mean, if it's regarding the monthly updates or the quality updates.
Upgrading machine to a new version of QA. It's not very clear, the question, to be honest.
Yeah, as I said before, if it's asking about the monthly or bi-monthly updates, you have to do it manually, and there's no alternative. You cannot upgrade this virtual machine from LCS because
this VM
it's
is not connected to LCS.
And Litwin also asks, are there any cost comparisons of powered down CHE and started for build only against presented solution? Again, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, but we haven't done that comparison, but I think it's easy if you just go to the Azure pricing calculator, and depending on the disk you choose, if you choose a premium SSD disk, you will be paying for the whole month. And if you choose a standard HDD disk, you just need to pay for the time the VM is powered on, I think. Then you need to...
it's not easy to calculate the cost of the VM.
No, it's easier to calculate the cost of the VM if you know how many hours it will be running, but then you need to calculate the proportional cost of the disk depending on the disk you are using. And if you are using a standard HDD disks, you know that you also pay for transactions on the disk, or write and read transactions. So, but I think this is using Azure DevTests Labs is the cheaper option we have found.
Totally.
But we don't have that comparison.
And the final question by Huber is, nice session, guys. Probably this is the way to automate the preparation of our VHD for development. Is it possible to save the VHD before deleting it?
The VHD is saved in the first moment in the storage account. So we use that VHD to create the new virtual machine. And as Adrià did, if the standard VHD doesn't work for you, you can start a new virtual machine with this VHD, do all the changes you need, and then save a new VHD and use it to create new VMs.
Everything from inside DevTest Labs.
Yeah.
Fantastic, guys. So guys, do you have any final comments and announcements to make to finish off this session?
Yes. The first tomorrow, I think tomorrow you will find all these steps written in Adrià's blog. He has made a really nice article, and you are going to have the step by step to create the stuff. Tomorrow the VMs are going to be delocated. I don't think all of them, but the most.
Yeah. For some customers, we haven't received the email that telling us that they will be delocated. Only a few of them. So.
Yeah. And just to say thank you to you, Raz, and all the organization for create this awesome event and allows us to participate. It has been an honor.
Thank you.
So how can we share information about your blog then, Adrià, and also your podcast as well?
Yep. Open the... Do you have the PPT?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I need to go to the beginning.
Yeah.
So this is Juan and...
Yeah, this is my blog, jjtomás.com, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my mail.
And this is mine, Ariste.info. I will publish all the steps to use Azure DevTests Labs here.
And the podcast...
And the podcast is called...
Xpp.dev, X++ developers. Xpp.dev. If you want to learn Spanish, so here we are.
Look at that. So not only are you learning X++, you're also learning Spanish.
Yeah.
That's you can't lose. You're a win-win situation, right?
That's right.
So fantastic, guys. So again, thank you and gracias to you both and to everyone for a great session. A lot of people were interested in this, and well done. Great session. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.